Hello and welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to episode 1 of the Q Files with myself, AJ Roberts, former UK soldier, and somewhat, you could say, of a spiritual mentor and guide and coach and stuff like that. Don't tend to give it a label. Um, Many of you have followed me over the last many years, especially during the COVID period, will kind of recognise me more from doing podcasts and stuff like that. But we've all been on a phenomenal journey. We've literally all been pulled to pillar and post. We've all gone through mental, crazy amounts of upgrades and knowings and things happening in our lives over the last 5 years. And it inevitably has brought us all, those of you who are tuning in, those of you who resonate with what I'm talking about, to this point now, okay, where we're at basically the tipping point in human history where we're basically embodying our higher selves for the first time ever in human history. Many people are aligning and basically coming into contact really with their more quantum selves, beyond all the programs, beyond all the viruses, beyond all the mind control that we've been susceptible to since birth. Now, that doesn't matter right now if you're 70 or you're 13 or you're 43. Okay, we are all going through what's called a massive quantum shift in reality, and it's taken myself to go on a huge journey, and especially over the last few months, that's just got bigger and bigger, to the point where everything is literally at warp speed right now, and this is what warp speed's always been about. Okay, so there's many people out there who believe that Donald Trump is the king of vaccines and stuff like that, and he's killed and injured loads and loads of people under the Warp Speed program. That absolutely isn't the case. The Warp Speed program was done on purpose to basically stop the Biden deep state regime from putting us all in FEMA camps, and it forced them to bring their version of their shot out quickly. Okay, so if you think about it from a war situation and you want the least amount of deaths and collateral damage possible, you need to trust the plan. Okay, so by bringing out the shots, the warp speed shots, the speed at which they did, okay, that made everyone question Big Pharma, question the speed at which these shots are made, question everything whilst Donald Trump was still in tenure. Okay, people still cling on to that right now. Okay, because we've actually seen the devastation and the reactions and the deaths and the injuries, the lasting injuries, from people all around the world. So you've got to bear in mind that these warp speed shots were only actually pertinent to the United States. And if you do your research, you'll see that they were clearly had saline or HCQ in, so hydroxychloroquine, which actually is a healing agent. Now, you probably ask yourself, well, why would they do that? So this time we're in now, ladies and gents, has been prophesized, has been precedented for many, many years. The cabal, the deep state, had all the capabilities up until 2012 to actually foresee a lot of this stuff through the Project Looking Glass technology, which has been shown to us in many movies. The new movie, Now You See Me Now, don't even make reference to it. So from 2012, not unfortunately, but they have not had access to this capabilities. Hence why we saw the London 2012 Olympics and all the comms and all the symbolism and everything that we did. And it was always going to be in the UK because it's the heart chakra of the planet. And since then, it's been about literally trying to shut the hearts of humanity, knowing that all the souls are here for this ascension process, which is what we're in right now. So since 2012, you were literally, from a war point of view, a war on consciousness, you would have actually, if you actually look back over it and look at the amount of toxins and the state of the place where you live, has literally tenfolded since 2012, because they know that all these young souls, they know all these kids, they know all these indigo children, they know all these amazing people are here for this time. So it's imperative to get all the kids on as many toxins as possible. It's imperative to get the kids plugged into the false grid, the false AI matrix. It's imperative to program the parents so that they then program the kids and normalize vaping and all these kind of things. And this is why we now have children all across the lands in all the same countries literally being hammered with toxins from the minute they get up in the morning. to the minute they go to bed. So I wanted to make and basically leave it until now to bring out the first episode of the Q Files. So I'm recording this live today on Wednesday the 26th of November, live on Facebook. So it can't be edited. So I'm doing exactly what Donald Trump does when he signs things with an actual real pen. So I'm recording this live, unedited right now, and then it'll be rebroadcasted out across multiple channels. And one of the reasons why warp speed occurred is basically so people were ready for now. So the whole point of the bad shots was what's called coronavirus. It was a virus of the crown. Okay, it's to disconnect humanity as many as possible from ascending, from cutting off their spiritual access. Okay, and that's what the shots were designed to do. The bad ones, the Pfizer ones, the Biden ones, the Modernas, the AstraZenecas, and all that kind of stuff. It was designed. They were all designed to hurt people, to stop them ascending. I mean, if you're watching this and you found yourself in that situation, it doesn't mean it's happened to everybody. There's like millions of saline shots out there. We've got beautiful members in our community who had some of the shots at the start, who are actually flying right now in terms of their spiritual growth. Many have got light language activating, all that kind of good stuff. So this was all planned, okay? You also have a military intelligence, which many people connect to, called Q. All right, and this isn't an episode about Q. Okay, this is not an episode to get into arguments about Q and all this kind of stuff. Q is there purely because there's millions of people on this planet who have the Q DNA blueprint in them. Okay, so as they awaken, they're connecting to Q. They're connecting to the drops. That's why there's so many ex-military people that connect to them, to Q. Okay, it's why I have a few years ago, and it's basically to ignite remembrance in people. So if you go to the last Q drop, for example, which was posted in 2022 in November, it says like who coded your DNA, like who put it there, protect your DNA, ascension. Okay, because we've put our DNA there. Like we are the actual controllers of our DNA as an individual, and that's why having our DNA in slyly little ways has been imperative to the deep state, the cabal, the dark side, whatever you want to call them. Okay, they know who we all are from birth. That's why we go through the whole birth thing in a hospital, because they want to know who's coming into this planet and what people's missions are, what people's gifts are, and who's like the special ones. There's special ones all over the world. So if you're listening to this and this resonates with you, think about the things that have happened to you in your life, okay, that have actually maybe stopped you or try to slow you down in your path. Okay, I've had 2 lots of opiate addiction. I've been smashed in the face loads of times by pissed up people, which has damaged my teeth and my nose. I've had spinal surgery. I've had all this kind of stuff happen to me over the years, okay, to try and lower your vibration. And it's the same for, all the people watching this video, actually have a think about the things that have happened to you in your life, and it'll really make you think, shit. But it all comes back to the same thing, ladies and gents. It all comes back to the fact that we are all quantum in our capabilities. We always have been. We've always come here for this reason, and it's for now times. Okay, we're at that pinnacle point now, and this is why I've left it to this point to do this video. So I wanted to talk about that. Okay, so I want to talk about the thing that Q talks about all the time: trust the plan. And I've been saying this out loud for a long time. Okay, everybody needs to trust the plan, not trust Q's plan, trust your plan, because you even watching this video as plan this into your reality to trigger things in you, to spark remembrance. That's the whole point of Q. It sparks remembrance. Okay, when they do the Q drops and it says a week to remember, boom, 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 boom. They're talking about big heart activations. Okay, boom, boom, boom. You're like, whoa. Many of you have had a lot of heart activations over recent weeks, to the point where it takes your breath away, and you might think you're having a heart attack, heart palpitations, all that kind of stuff. They're the booms. Okay, it's part of your awakening process. All right, a week to remember. Okay, it's all about remembrance. So for millions around the world, Q is a platform for their remembrance. All right, if you're out there doing light language and crystals and healing, grid work, you're out there leading protests because that's building that army, it's correlating and collecting all of these amazing souls all together, and they're anchoring in all that energy. Like, that's your DNA blueprint. All right. But there's millions around the world who connect to Q for a reason, because it's designed to activate certain things in them, and then they activate certain things in other people. And this is what it's all been about. It's not been about us screaming and shouting and shaking everybody by the shoulders going, why can't you see what I can see? It's about all of this. It's about all of our journeys coming back to the very thing that we are quantum and the capabilities. We have all these gifts. We have all these powers. And that's just at an individual level. And when you bring them all together, that creates heaven on earth. That collapses old timelines. If everybody's operating in their multi-dimensional cells, okay, millions of the cells, the selves in the body, the world's going to be in harmony. New earth is created. So what we're seeing right now all around the world is the deconstruction. Like, every town centre just looks ugly, full of beings who like aren't actually from there. Wherever you go, UK is like been horrendous from it. The land has been attacked. The people have been attacked. Everyone's been governed and mind controlled for a reason, so they don't activate with this powerful land that is in the United Kingdom. They don't want people in the United States, Canada, Australia, all these other places that are running the same blueprint to activate, connect with their land, their indigenous, native ancestors, and all this kind of stuff. Like here in the UK, they don't want people on the East Coast reconnecting with their Viking lineage. They don't want people on the West Coast reconnecting with their Celtic lineage. They don't want people through the spine, the Albion, the Jacob's Ladder, connecting with all their lineage. They definitely don't want the Scottish connecting with their lineage, and all across the upper northern magnetic line, Greenland, Iceland, UK, Scandinavia, northern Russia. Okay, that has been the target the whole time, right? Because that's where the majority of powerful sort of fifth dimensional galactic beings live, all right? That's why they make taking the piss out of gingers such a big thing, to lower their vibration, because ginger people hold very, very sacred keys and codes, galactically and earthly. Okay, I've been around the country. I've done all these talks. I've learned all this amazing information. Deeper knowings and wisdom and remembrance of myself has come through to basically join all these dots, so I can share this with you in this fashion and break it all down. So, you know, the more people see this, the more people understand what their battle plan was. Okay, in general, it was to slow us down from ascension. They knew they would never be able to fully stop it, so it's all been about slowing us down. Okay, so throw in a virus in there, a virus. All right, but look what's happened as a result of COVID. Millions have not quote unquote woken up, because you wake you up. All right, COVID hasn't woken you up, like you've woken you up. This is what I mean about trust the plan. You've already planned when you woke up, who your parents are, your friendship circles, where you were going to be born, your mission. This is all predetermined before you incarnated into this human experience in the vessel that you are in now, watching this. All right. I mean, how much of a cool fucking movie is that anyway? Okay. But you're shown this in the Truman Show. Okay. True Man. Okay. It's very similar to Hue Man. Right. Hue Man. The hue is the contrast of light, the spectrum from ultraviolet to red. And the man is the manifestation of that in this experience that you project through the heart. Okay. That's why your whole awakening journey has brought you to this point where you now have a deeper understanding of why you're here. You have manifested or materialized all of these things, including myself in this video, if you follow me, to help you trigger things in your remembrance, and all the other people you might follow who are doing a great work out there, all in their own subtle little ways. Okay, and this is the beauty of it all, and this is why we have been in a giant military operation, but also the biggest spiritual war you could ever imagine. And I'm sure at this point by now, everyone who's watching this is supposed to watch this. Okay, your classic NPCs aren't watching this video. It's not for them. It's not designed to trigger anything. It's not designed to wake them up. Non-player characters, or kind of soulless beings, are very much there to prop the false matrix up. Okay, so everything you're experiencing right now, all the chains, all the crap food stores, the barbers, they're like all of this stuff that that brought the town centres down, people that work in the banks, the chemists, your doctors, your pharmacists, your scientists, all these people all have to be there and heavily indoctrinated and running on a program. Otherwise, none of this matrix works, okay? And then we don't experience duality as part of our ascension process. So coming here to this planet is a mission in itself, all right? And then here it is probably the harshest school you can imagine. So just have a little think to yourself right now, maybe feel it in the body, what you've actually been through in the last 5 years. What have you actually been through just in the last year alone? Okay, loads of people have like marriages and relationships have broken down, you know, mine included, but it had to happen. Obviously, the situation I'm in now is very different, but I'm very much on my soul mission. Okay, so all of this stuff had to happen for us, and everybody else in your story, in your Truman Show, have played their part. So if you think about the Truman Show, you think about the character who Jim Carrey plays, Truman. He's very much totally asleep, in a sleepy mode, like an NPC, running on a program, going to the same jobs, seeing the same people, living in the same neighborhood, surrounded by actors, all right, who are propping up his life. He is the main character. Just like you are in your story, he's the main character, and this is what they show you. He then goes on a bit of a journey where things start to trigger. Things start to become more apparent. He starts questioning things. Curiosity kicks in. He's starting to question everything in his reality. And the more and more that happens, the more people around him are like, oh shit, this guy's like waking up. And it gets to a point where he's actually sparked by a twin flame union. So if you remember to the eyes that he sees, and he keeps seeing these eyes, it's a spark from his twin flame union. And then he goes on a mission to basically reconnect with that other half of his soul, that lady. All his fears are then presented to him. So he's already been programmed to not leave the island because he's scared of water. He's already been programmed with all these other fears, and it's all played on the heartstrings and linked to his dad, right? But he pushes past those fears. Then they show you how they control the weather, because they put a storm in and everything else like that, right? So they're showing you all this stuff in the Truman Show by the controllers of his reality on the moon, right? Funnily enough. And that's literally how we've experienced our reality from the dark side of the moon, Transformers, because they know we project our reality through the heart space. So if you can lower the vibration of the heart and control the heart, you can literally make that person's reality very dumbed down, very low frequency, and keep them running on a program, whilst keep them fixed on media, whilst giving their power away to their doctor, to the judge, to the police, to the teacher, like all this kind of stuff. And everyone's then running on a program and not knowing the nudge techniques, not seeing the mind control. And then everybody's just a consumer going around on a hamster wheel day by day, okay, going to work 9 till 5, hating their job, being on the tools, getting fattened up with energy drinks and vaping and Greg's crap food, stuff like that. But you got to keep on it because you've got to pay your electricity bill and your council tax and all this kind of stuff. So they have everyone where they want them. They have all these Trumans running around. But the last 5 years especially has basically turned all these Trumans into a whole army of people that are suddenly questioning everything. And then everyone's on it at their own level. Okay, and that was always going to be known. You have to account for that as part of this giant military operation. Everyone here was going to awaken at a certain time. But we're at this point now where the mass consciousness awakening is at the highest peak. Okay, millions of you around the planet are going through what's called ascension cycles and ascension symptoms. So loads of you are getting ear ringing, loads of you are getting lots of heart palpitations, loads of you are getting random sensations in the body. Suddenly you're feeling your third eye open in your head. You're getting lots of activation of the crown. Maybe at the minute you're getting lots of like twitching around the eyes and things like that, because you're recalibrating to your higher strands of DNA. Okay, we were originally organically 12-strand DNA until the humans were, hundreds and hundreds, thousands of years ago, were manipulated into 12-strand DNA, so you could be easily plugged into the false AI grid. So the grid now is absolutely been activated because of amazing people, especially here in the UK and others around the world, have reactivated that grid system. Okay, you got people out there putting like positive codes into the land, which basically converts it back from the inorganic, where everyone's plugged into, running on a program, back into the organic, where the ancient truths are, where your internal wisdom is, where the truths of all the world is, where all the frequencies to do with your lineage and ancestors and everything and your soul mission and all this kind of stuff is all there. Okay, these run on like a dragon frequency and a Viking frequency. All right, I've been saying for a long time, the Vikings, all right, were not just farmers with axes and stuff like that. They didn't come to UK and rape and pillage. They actually came to UK to try and rid the country and the land of the Roman Catholic Church that went around disconnecting the ancient wisdom from the trees and putting crosses on every cathedral and church and things like that, literally trying to completely control the minds and the land and the people, all right, as part of their wider mission. The Vikings came back here as fifth dimensional frequency beings, all right, evenly balanced between masculine and feminine, came all the way across to the East Coast to try and reconnect the ancient wisdom in the trees, all right, and reconnect the ley lines, the energy lines in the land that were being demonized, all right. And I'm talking like these sick fuckers like even poured adrenochrome into the land and stuff like that. This is why they build in modern times big, large council estates on powerful ley lines and keep them in low vibration. So Moss Side in Manchester is bang on a really powerful ley line, and loads of other places around the country. They build stadiums on them to harvest the energy. Okay, the whole London sort of square mile, all built on powerful energy lines. All the stuff, the satanic sick shit that's gone in Milton Keynes. Milton Keynes is a hotbed for powerful ley lines. Glastonbury, obviously we know what Glastonbury's all about, but they hold a festival there every year and at least 3 people die. You know, everything around Salisbury, Lincoln and the cathedrals and all this kind of stuff. Like, they come back here, our ancient ancestors, to try and reconnect it all, okay? And this is why, especially in Grimsby and Redcar and Mablethorpe and places down the East Coast, this is why they're so run down. They've been so manipulated. Most of the people there are very unhealthy, really plugged in. They're literally hammered with EMF radiation from every angle, okay? For this reason, they have wind farms set up off the coasts, okay, to completely flip the actual electromagnetic current in the waters, the fish streams, but also pump out negative frequency onto the land. So all the poor people there are literally hammered with it. And that's why all these places look so run down. They look like trash. The people look so sick, okay? Because they know that this activation, this remembrance was going to come through into people, which is happening right now. All right? So it's really important that we acknowledge this information, because when we actually acknowledge it and understand it and it resonates, it just hammers home even more how powerful you are, ladies and gents. Okay, because we are quantum in our capabilities, and this is where we're at now. So when I'm saying about trust the plan, all right, it's not for people to go, oh, you fucking cutard. It's telling you trust the plan because you made the plan. Okay, it's your plan. You plan to come here at this time. You plan to connect with everyone you want to connect you. You're reconnecting with all your awakening tools. Okay, because it's your plan. All right. Next, they say to us, military is the only way, because that's what's happening right now. Okay, the migrants in the hotels. I was getting emails 4 years ago, all right, telling us about all these fighting age males in Wigan that were coming over here. They were like literally taking over the hotel. They were getting use the gym twice a day. They were getting fully clothed, fully fed, and they were getting taken off to do some training. All right, that was 4 years ago. I was screaming about it then, but like no one really wants to know. Same about the trafficking. But now I know, and now I realise, because people's frequency en masse just wasn't there to be able to set that level of information, because everyone was still running around arguing about vaccines and masks and all this kind of stuff, all right? So it makes total sense that now everyone gets it, because they're seeing it on their doorstep. They're seeing the influx of migrants at this time. You're being shown so many fake videos of people who are being attacked to rile people up, to get people out on the streets, to get people patriotic, to get people flying their flag again, to get people together in unison, to get people standing up and protecting their children, okay, God's children. The very thing that was missing in 2020 when I was going to the protest and there was about 80% of the people there were female, right? It's because we'd all been programmed, especially the males, into only giving a shit about football and everything else like that, yeah? That's what was happening. Look at how chaotic 2020 and 2021 was around vaccines and viruses and the spread and all this stuff. Yet they still had Euro 2020 in 2021 in UK, and all these celebrities was going to the final and stuff like that. But it just shows you how chaotic it was, right? But it also shows you that the male population in general at the time couldn't give a shit about the virus. They were just giving a shit about going to work and going to football. So that was prime example of where we were then. Now we've got men, amazingly, all over the country. My feed is full of men at the minute, standing up, speaking out. Let's get together, like let's destroy these sleazy bastards, as Shani says, like brilliantly. All this kind of stuff. This has been part of this military operation to unite the country, to become a united kingdom again. Okay, it's all one land. Who the fuck decided to put a squiggly border between Scotland and England on a map and say, yeah, that's a border? Like, who decided to put squiggly lines and call them county lines on the same land? Yeah, who did that? Who decided it? But we've accepted it, and you've gone, oh yeah, I'm from Dorset, and you know, people are from Yorkshire. It's like all the accents obviously complement where people live, but all the borders are imaginary, illusionary lines. Okay, so we're all from the same land, and it's all about reconnecting with that land. It's all about reconnecting with the fact that Scotland is the original Holy Land. And this is why Q says Israel last, because it's all about Israel, Jerusalem, the original Jerusalem is in Scotland. All right, I'll do another podcast on all of that, and I'll actually break it down and show you with maps and stuff. But it's retaking the Holy Land, retaking the kingdom, retaking the lineage. All right, and that's why you're seeing the government absolutely self-implode, all on purpose. Keir Starmer is an actor working on behalf of the military to literally just be a pedestal, be a focal point, be what we've always been used to on the TV, a prime minister or somebody of authority giving instruction. But he's destroying the country on purpose, because when you collapse it to its bottom, you know, so you're literally in the bottom of that pit, everyone's skin, everyone's been pushed to the, you know, everyone's been pushed to the limit. Everyone was so close to the breadline at the minute. Everyone's like deciding, do I pay my electricity bill or do I feed my kids? Right? This has to happen so that everybody in unison sees that this is the old world. These are the old systems. These are the controlling systems. This is what happens when we give our power away en masse and as individuals. Okay, they're doing all this on purpose to absolutely ram this home. So you say no more, right? I'm the fucking creator. I create new earth. Okay, and your new earth, okay, earth anagram of heart, is done when you do the inner work, when you understand how powerful you truly are. Right, your heart activates. And when your heart activates, it sends out a signal. All right, and then you just start waking up and waking up and waking up more and more. Your remembrance starts coming through. This is what I'm on about. The land is now active. It's active in a fifth dimensional frequency for those who want to tap into it. It's why I've done meditations recently and been putting them out there about connecting to the organic grid, all right? About doing portal openings, about doing all this kind of stuff collectively. All the people coming to our house, which is on a dragon ley line, which links to Lincoln Cathedral. Everyone's been coming here en masse, okay, to get activations themselves, but also to anchor powerful energy and keys and codes into the land. The land across the country is now open. This is why you're seeing so many people wake up, like in a rapid fashion. This is exactly what they didn't want, all right? And it's happening in front of you. This is how beautiful this military operation is, okay? And one of the things that the military operation has used is X, all right? Twitter, X. So cast your mind back to when Elon Musk 2.0 bought X for 44 billion. Okay, he didn't buy it for 44 billion. He's a fake character. The original was long gone. Like, the original wanted AI chips in your forehead and all this kind of stuff, like, you know, in unison with Bill Gates and stuff like that. Elon Musk is another character that's been used by the military to drive home a large awakening. Okay, so on paper, Elon Musk owns Starlink, X, SpaceX, yeah, Tesla, all this stuff. The military actually own it all. SpaceX is a front for Space Force. This is why you've seen the character, which is Trump, and there's many of him, with Elon Musk so often, all right? And it's driving people to X, Okay, X is Christ. It's the return of Christ. XRP, Christ real purpose. Okay, the new quantum financial system. All right, that doesn't mean you need to go and invest in XRP. You don't need to. Okay, it's that you're only going to invest in something on a 3D platform. All right, when you're stepping into a 5D frequency, it's not like you wake up and like, whoa, I'm in a 5D Earth, and then all of a sudden there's rabbits bouncing around and everyone's skipping and high five each other. It's not like that. It's you stepping into a fifth dimensional frequency connected to the organic grid, which we've already always lived on. All right, and then your abundance comes through there. Your knowings come through there. Your understanding of who you are comes from there. Your ancient lineage comes from there. Okay, your soul mission comes from there. This is what is happening right now. Okay, so when you're stepping into those higher frequencies, you know you're there because you're going through all the ascension symptoms, the ear ringing, your head feels like it's going to explode, or your crown feels like it's going to open. And you do this by doing the inner work. So I can't stress enough how important it is to meditate because and connect to the grid. This is why Donald Trump has been sat, okay, with his hands like this in every single picture. Not like this, not like that, like this, okay? Some people say it's the Space Force insignia, but it's not the Space Force insignia. It's the tip of the spear, all right? And what can you do with the tip of a spear? You can anchor it into the ground, right? He's been showing us all this time how to sit and the mudra to sit with and meditate and anchor into the fifth dimensional grid. It's that simple. I've been doing it every day for the last week, and literally everything's flooding in. Remembrance, mission, like all of it. Okay, and funny enough, the tip of the spear is the logo from the military intelligence unit in Joint Base Andrews, where he often flies from on Air Force One. Okay, so it's all we've been giving clues all the way along. All right, Donald Trump is just a character who has many doubles. All right, you can clearly see that. Elon Musk is a fake character. All right, and that we put them there. We did in this movie to help us with our ascension process, so that we would always have a dark side and a light side. We'd always experience good and bad. We'd always experience the duality as we go through these frequencies. All right, that's what we've been experiencing en masse. So I'll go back to what Elon Musk, for example, he bought Twitter for 44 billion. Okay, or the military bought it for 44 billion. If you go to Q post 44, it will literally say to you, before POTUS leaves on Friday, look to Twitter. All right, so they're already showing you that like the military own it. Okay, and that's Q post 44. They bought it for 44 billion. Obviously, with the military running it, you've got all the free speech. You've got all these amazing influencers out there that have had the opportunity to share their content, wake loads more people up, or help people wake up, trigger more people, connect more people all around the world. The people I've connected to on there, who are very much on a similar mission to myself, has been phenomenal. So there's your proof. All right, X is doing its job. The military own it and they're doing its job. And when it says let that sink in, right, it's constantly triggering things in you to do with synchronicities. You're going to join the dots. You're going to see the synchronicities. Okay. Also, Musk owns Tesla, right? Tesla is obviously based on Nikola Tesla. Okay, the amazing inventor, scientist who had all his patents stolen because he invented free energy, let's call it, or a better way of harmonizing it and actually spreading it around the world. Okay, using electromagnetism, connecting to the ether, the very things the cathedrals were there for, all this kind of stuff, right? That was then trampled on, obviously, by JP Morgan, Rockefellers, etc. And then the actual grid system, the national grid, okay, was completely bastardized, and they went round the lands, digging it all up, putting pylons on it, putting cables in the ground, plugging them into your houses that we built, these little box prisons that we build ourselves, and then putting meters in and then charging everybody for it, right? And then dictating how much you're supposed to pay, right? So Tesla have brought out Tesla vehicles, so it's constantly in the consciousness of humans, right? So the name Tesla is constantly being repeated and it's there. It's actually a really good way of draining your quote unquote NPC cash out of the fiat currency system and into Tesla, because all of a sudden all these NPCs are following the narrative and they're running out and buying electric cars. Okay, and we know what the crack is with electric cars. So all of these background beings have actually been helping to finance Tesla, but by following the mainstream. So it's actually a genius operation. Obviously, moving forward, future quantum technology will come under the band of Tesla. Okay, so there's a lot of talk about med beds and all that kind of stuff. They'll be here when they're here, because actually, really, they're a trigger to trigger you into understanding that you are a med bed. So when you're aligned and you're pulling white light, you're connecting to white light through source, okay, you heal yourself like that, boom, your body's in homeostasis, and your field can heal people around you. So in essence, you're like your own med bed, all right? But I'm on about more future tech, as in CPAC technology, crystalline silicon based technology that will power your home, that will power your car, that will power the street, all right? It's already here, okay? We put it there. It's just been hidden from us, just like everything else, ancient civilizations, histories, etc., etc. So that's why Tesla's there. Then you have Starlink, okay, which I've had to put in recently. All right, Starlink will be used to literally connect the quantum field, literally like a physical version of what we actually have and experience that's actually around the planet. All right, what people call a firmament, okay, electromagnetic field that connects it all and then connects us to that ether, okay, through our own DNA portal. We are the portals, all right? We are the portal. So Starlink connects all of that, again, owned by the military, okay? SpaceX, owned by the military. X, owned by the military. Tesla, owned by the military, okay? And it's all to bring us back to this now moment as part of this military operation that we're about to step into, this quantum leap, all right? This warp speed that's happening right now. Okay, there's people in our community who are literally flying through the frequencies. We're seeing it at events, like people's light language coming, like exploding. People are removing entities and old attachments and all this kind of stuff, because it's bringing everybody back to their gifts and this now moment where you, the hero in your story, are now knowing that you are the leading role, and everything around you is a materialization that you've put here. You put the cabal here, you put the deep state here, you put the good guys here, you put you and your friends here, you put your tribe that you're mixing and growing with now, okay? Many of you watching this have got a lot closer with people over the last year, and they're now more of your tribe and your family, while the others have played their part. They've given you the lessons, messages, keys and codes, and that's their job done. That's that contract done, okay? Now we're all over the world, tapping into source, but also bringing our troops back to the ship, as I like to call it. Okay, and at that point, everyone's gone through their own awakening journey, and it's still a growing thing. Okay, I can't stress enough, and I've said this loads at talks. You're not awake, right? No one's awake. You are awakening. Okay, it's a constant process, and that doesn't mean that it's a constant healing process. That's a spiritual trap. You don't need to sit there and cry and purge and everything else out all day. Okay, you need to release what no longer serves you, including cutting contracts, which could be with current partners, old partners, whatever that may be, because once you do that, everything else falls into place. Okay, because it's your plan. You put it there. Okay, so that's why it keeps showing you trust the plan. Is what it says military is the only way, because that's what's happening right now. So currently in UK, Ant Middleton, former SBS Special Forces, is been advertising for a long time about running for Mayor of London, obviously against Sadiq Khan, who's in his third term, which shouldn't be a thing, which again is all fake. He's completely corrupt, massively complicit with crimes against humanity. He absolutely comes under Executive Order 13818 and 13848, which is interference in foreign from outside agencies of US elections. So all the crimes are there, but at the same time, if you're thinking from a timeline, everyone has to learn it for themselves. Everyone has to see the corruption for themselves. So some of us know it all, and we're just like, oh, just hurry up. But it's because everyone else needs to see it and learn it for themselves. Again, Q says this, right? It's all they are is just little markers, little lines for you to trigger things and go, right, I get it now. Right? It's not to follow their plan, it's your plan. And all it's doing is triggering this remembrance in you, all right, which is beautiful. So when it comes to the migrants in the hotel and then the military bases, Ant spoke about this recently, and he was basically putting out there that they're being flown in. I've been screaming this for ages, right? They're absolutely being flown in, and they're not coming in on dinghies like they're saying, oh, 1,000 boats this month, blah, blah, blah. If there's 1,000 boats this month, why hasn't a single group of people met them on the shores and filmed them all and interviewed them and all this kind of stuff? Why is no patriots out in the water with their boats, like hunting them down, tracking them? Why is the military not arrested any of them in the water? Because they're not there in their hundreds and thousands, right? They're being flown in, okay? So a few women here and there, blah, 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 that's all part of the story. That's a distraction to keep your eyes over there whilst they're being flown into private airports and coached in and all this kind of stuff, all right? So you don't see it. They're staying in the hotels because they're being trained, okay? They're being trained to assist. They're being trained to assist with the current military, which has been completely compromised. Loads of them have been lied to and jabbed and coerced into the shots as well, threatened with their careers, threatened with promotion, threatened with like their pension. You know, I know so many amazing guys who are actually in a bit of a shit state because of those things. All right, so that's all happened. The military was shrunk on purpose, but still expected to deploy and carry on the same roles. All right, that can't happen. So in terms of a man, in terms of like manning, is at its lowest. And then you take the people who are actually fit to deploy and all this kind of stuff. It's nothing really. And our own island, right, has been completely attacked and compromised. The United States military is absolutely massive, and they've got a National Guard. Their National Guard is all dotted around, purposely placed for now. Okay, militaries are here in the UK to assist. Okay, Lincolnshire has seen the biggest influx in foreign militaries come through, and I've seen them around the town in Lincoln, Canadians and that as well, that I've ever seen in my life. All right, it's because the people in the hotels have been trained, like I was being shown 4 years ago, to assist for now, because we're on the verge of an emergency broadcast. All right, and what that actually means is the military have all the assets, like I just explained, X, Starlink, everything else like that. Okay, they own the media. They own the people you're seeing on your TV in terms of Keir Starmer and stuff like that. You can clearly see it's not the original, right? And they're controlling these people all on purpose, okay? So for when the time comes, which is literally imminent, we have what's called an emergency broadcast, right? They tested it on my birthday, funnily enough, 7th of September, just gone. Again, they put it out there again. You've seen Amazon Web Services go down recently. You've seen the cloud, whatever it's called, go down recently. The major platforms where loads of these websites and businesses are hosted on, all right? To switch to a new quantum reset and a new quantum future to help build New Earth, all right? It needs to be a complete shutdown of all the old 3D systems. So it needs to be a shutdown of the old internet and everything else like that, which I believe will be approximately 3 days. That's not shutdown of electricity and everything else like that. People will die, okay, and water, etc., but a shutdown of all our systems to be rebooted into quantum systems. That will consist of the quantum financial system, healthcare, education, all the platforms we actually need to rebuild all these systems, which are all on their ass, right? They've all hit rock bottom. Every kid don't want to be in school. Every parent don't want their kid in school. No one wants to go to a hospital. No one wants to go to a doctor. Everyone's sick and tired of the TV. The news is all bullshit, etc., right? You get my drift. The migrants and the barbershops and the takeovers all our town, all of this kind of stuff has all been by design. So you don't want to live where you live. You don't want to be where you are. You want to go, fuck this. This shit, man. I want to like rebuild it. Okay? And that's come alive in you since all this quantum feelings and experiences and upgrades and everything's been happening to your body. Okay, so you can actually accept and hold and have the keys and the codes to your quantum financial system because it's going to be through you, okay, through your heart, through your DNA is how you connect to it. All right, so you're not going to a bank, you're not getting an endless card so you can like spend 1 million XRP on like a whole drive full of like Lambos which is going to wrap around a tree. It's not about that. Okay, it is about you coming fully into your quantum self, your quantum capabilities, where you experience quantum reality, which is happening rapidly at warp speed, and then you experience your QFS, etc., etc. That is your abundance, okay? And that's how you create new earth, because you become the ultimate creator. And that's what it's about, ladies and gents, being the creator of your reality. So we're taking the C from reactor, where we're all there reacting to everything. Fucking Keir Starmer, protest, vaccines, wake up, like that. And we're going into a flow state because we're more quantum and crystalline in our body. Okay, so we take the C from reactor and we put it to the front, the start, to be the creator, because that's what we've always been, and that's what this is all about. Okay, that's what cube is there for. That's what crystal's there for. That's what understanding what grid work is. These ancient civilizations, these ancient buildings, all of the above, okay, is all designed in your individual reality, all right, to help you awaken, help you ascend, because it's in your DNA blueprint for that particular thing, okay, to help you awaken, to watch this video, to see another video at this critical time in your evolution and your process, okay. And that is where we're at right now. And this is why you're experiencing Agent Smiths popping up everywhere in your reality, like trying to throw you off track, okay. This is why you're experiencing duality until the very last minute. You know, we're experiencing it all, okay, because again, we're told we have it all, because we always have. All right, we've always had the abundance, we've always had the ascension process there for us. It's why we came here, okay, to help the planet ascend as we ascend. Okay, we knew this was all going to happen, so we've already have it all. It's not about Trump administration having all the documents and all the potential pedos and the Epstein file and stuff like that. It's a trigger constantly telling you, a week to remember, we have it all. Trust the plan, because it's telling you who connect to it that you've put that all there, and it's sparking that remembrance in you. Oh, fucking hell. Yeah, I get it. We do have it all, right? Because we don't have this physical 3D illusions. We've broken through the veils. So if you're seeing the ugliness of absolutely everything, you go to town centre and everyone's massively overweight, chugging on vapes and energy drinks, and everything looks run down. It's all low frequency. It's all been taken over. Everyone looks sad, morbid and depressed. Okay, every time you go to the supermarket, you see everyone running on a program. If you're witnessing all this stuff, it's because you're in a higher frequency and you're seeing the density. Okay, you're seeing the density of all the 3D illusions basically that are there to enslave humanity, and they all work together to keep everyone's mind, to keep everyone's head in a box of illusion. I'm going to do a whiteboard video on that to kind of explain that and how it all governs each other. So I wanted to do this first episode today to talk about that. This video isn't to try and convince you that Q is real. This video isn't trying to convince anybody that any of it is real. If you haven't started watching it from the start, okay, I'll refer back to what I was saying. Those who resonate with Q are supposed to, because it's in their DNA blueprint, okay? It's there to activate things in them for their soul mission, all right? That's it, especially the ex-military people. And that's why so many ex-military people I'm connected to literally can see all of this stuff happening, and they're all on their soul missions, right? So that can't be denied. You cannot deny anyone's experiences or their feelings or their journey, right? It's not ours to do that, okay? I haven't sat here once and said, this is the truth, you need to follow it. Your truth is your truth. If you are 100% convinced and have no doubt about something, it's true. You're right, okay? This is how this game works. So if you've only just joined me, okay, I'm not talking about Q and this is the truth and you must follow it. Please go back and watch the start of this video and you'll understand. All right, the purpose of this video is to tell you, watching it, you are now at this critical time in human history where our higher selves are absolutely embodying our human body for the first time. All right, we're going through an ascension process. We're connecting to the fifth dimensional golden grid, which is now active in the UK. So now has never been a better time to meditate and tap into that. All right. So I hope this video has been educational for people. I hope this video has maybe hopefully triggered some more remembrance in you, because again, that's what it's for. That's what I'm using my channel for, to trigger remembrance in you, not to tell you your truth. I'm not going to call you a Q-tard or a fucking Mong or anything else like that because you're not believing what I'm trying to tell you is the truth. That's not how we do things. Okay? Take what resonates. I hope it genuinely triggered certain remembrance in you, whether it's to do with lineage or your connections to things, and a deeper understanding, a deeper knowing of how powerful you truly are, and that you're going through this process for a reason, because it's your plan. You decided all the people and everything and experiences in your life. You've created it all so far, okay? And now we're being shown in the physical, the emotional, the mental, and the spiritual that we create it all, good and bad, okay? Because we are, as He-Man always showed us, the masters of the universe. Thank you for tuning in to this episode of the Q Files, episode 1. If you've taken a lot from today's content, please give us some feedback. Let us know how things are going where you are, like what's going on in your life, what are you experiencing in the mind, the body, and the soul. Because I can tell you now, from running a community for so long, everyone's experiencing what you're experiencing or lives where you live and stuff like that. So now's never been a better time to connect. So use the feed, use the chat. Let me know what you're going through. And I can tell you now, there's people in my on my friends list or a wider community that are going through the same. All right, and this is how now we all help each other. All right, we all help each other rise. When we rise, when we do the inner work, everyone else around us rises as well. That's how we awaken people. All right, and that's how we come back to our true self. Much love, fam. Always keep doing what you're doing. Keep doing the work. Everyone's soldiers of light. All right, every single one of you watching this is a soldier. All right, and we're at the tail end of this war now. Okay, and it's time to get some friggin' R&R and enjoy the abundance. Love you all.